Time for a new episode of Humans Behind Art. Now, what you're about to see is an interview that I filmed together with the dancer that I am working with, Maria Suska from Italy. And some time ago, we created a piece called Being Audience, Being Performer, and this very piece got selected to be shown at LACUNA Festivals 2021. More information about this festival you can find via the link in the video description. But this festival asked us to record a small interview about the piece and about our work and who we are. And we thought, hey, let's also put that here on the Capta laVie YouTube channel so that you also get a little bit to know me a little bit better and what I do and what I'm working on. Interview time with LACUNA Festival 2021 edition. We have a lot of boats in the water. Interview. Let's pick some questions. There's a boat with question number 1 written on it. I have it here. Who are you and where are you from?
I'm Maria and I'm from Italy. So you will probably hear a lot of but it's okay, don't worry about it. I will manage maybe to speak. And it's to you.
You can see her more grounded speaking in the piece where she's actually speaking Italian and we have English subtitles.
Yes.
Makes it a bit easier. Myself, I'm Jacob. I'm from Germany. I'm currently based in the Netherlands though, and that's where we are right now as well. Let's look for the next boat. Number 2. What does it say?
Tell us about your practice.
So what we are doing is a combination between theater, dance in a somewhat experimental context. As in the work we are very much busy with the relationship between the audience and the performer. And to change the traditional relationships that we usually encounter in the theater, which asks already for some experimentation and non-conventional kinds of shows in a way. How do you do it? We do it by challenging the established relationships, by inviting the audience to take part, and not just in a traditional audience participation manner, but in a way where the audience is actually having to take a choice for themselves. So instead of us asking them, hey, can you do this, can you hold this boat, and then they're holding it where they are not really free but just being put onto the spot, we do it much more through an invitation without forcing anyone, because we believe as well that an audience should be having their own choice. We always look at the audience as a collective, and that makes a lot of sense. As when you're watching a show, you start breathing together with the people next to you, etc. But we feel that it's very important to keep the individual alive inside of that, which brings us to a lot of research questions for ourselves that we are figuring out and constantly experimenting with in the work. So there's no fixed answer in a way.
Yes, let's say that we create the condition for which the human beings that forms the collective audience are able to express themselves as individuals. Right?
Yes. When did you start? Now this topic of relationship between audience and performer is something that I am busy with since about 6 years already now. And there it started, and I'm still busy with it, and it doesn't let me go, and I'm always trying to find different aspects to it, different approaches, new experiments as well. As if the audience is able to stay an individual and to make choices, every show will be a different one. So it's much more an experiment than something that's perfectly written. And something that where I took that from very much was from my experience as a street performer, where I was seeing the audience being a lot more free than in a theater environment, for example. On the street, the audience comes and goes whenever they want, and as long as they are interested in what you do, they stay, and that's nice. And if you manage to give them something that they are interested in, they also pay at the end, which is even nicer. But in general, nobody fears to walk away from a street performance. And that is also an expression of your individuality. If you don't enjoy something, you move on. While in the theater, I always felt that, okay, the audience is much more following those social structures that are attached to the theater. And there is not necessarily something bad about it. There is shows that I've done in the past as well where that is very good. In general, it's about keeping the individual, as we said earlier then, so that you're not being obliged by the other people around you to do something a certain way, but that you have a choice to do it how you want. That can be following the social norms, but that can also be to do something else, to express yourself in a different way. And there is so much to research about that I'm sure I'll be busy with that for another 6 years in the future as well.
For me, it's kind of the same in the way that I started to perform in 2012 with a collective called Condivisione. It started, it's a residency that we create in 2012 with that name. And the venue was and is still the castle in the that is in my in the town where I was born, which is Mola di Bari in the south of Italy. And well, that venue is not, let's say, a conventional venue because it's a castle and people are free to walk in, and we used to perform there, so people were free to move and to do whatever they want, and not always like it's not as to be in a theater, let's say.
Something in between street and theater.
Exactly.
Like a programmed outdoor festival.
Exactly. And they, I could see people that weren't sure about what they could do and what they couldn't.
Next vote.
That's both. 5?
I think. Who or what inspires your practice? I think we already went a little bit into it, at least I did for myself in regards to street, but there is something more to that, as we have a similar relationship inside of the theater between the audience and the performer, as we have in our daily lives between us as the people and the politicians who are the performers in the political theater, so to say. And we feel there as well that as an audience we have a lot more power and a lot more choice than what we actually exhibit. And we believe that as people we should be aware of that much more. That is something where as well in the piece that we've created, which we'll talk about in a moment, I see it already there, where it becomes political, where the theater starts to become a rehearsal space for democracy, where individual voices can be heard and should be heard, and a consensus can be found. But that can only happen if there is the expression of the individual. And that also has to do with responsibility. Often when we are watching a show in the theater, we make the performer responsible for our evening. If the show is shit, then the performer has the responsibility for that. We say, that show sucked because of the performer and blah. But no, you constantly had the choice to leave and go somewhere else and to change the path of the evening. Or you say, oh, but the performer should have done this or should have done that. But it's in the end your own responsibility to go to that show. And you have to maintain that responsibility as well. And the same way outside of the theater, in the political realm, in the political theater. So if there is something that is not working in politics, we always make the politicians responsible for it. And we rarely suggest solutions. We go on the street and demonstrate against things. But I've rarely experienced demonstrations for something, for an alternative, where people stand up for something instead of just against something, and then the politicians having to listen to that and now please come up with a solution because I don't like what you do. But if I don't like what somebody does, then it's either up to me to deal with that or up to me to come up with a solution, to make a better suggestion and maybe find people who support me in that idea as well, to create movement, to create change through that as well, by being for something, not just against, which for us is something that is really reflected in this relationship in the theater, and it's something that is very important to us and where we take a lot of our inspiration and motivation, I should better say, from to create the things that we are working on and are creating. What are you exhibiting at Distance 2021? We are exhibiting a performance called Being Audience, Being Performer. And the name might come super surprising now by everything we've talked about before. And it's a show that is very much about all the things we've talked about before. It is about the relationship between audience and performer in the theater, and then creating the next step of taking that outside of the theater. And for us, the piece is very much a manifesto and an invitation for change, for standing up, for expressing yourself, which is something that we also ask the audience to do physically at the end of it and during it. And you will see. Watch it. It's good. She speaks Italian.
I speak.
It's a little fresh in here. There is a reason to this madness. How does it link to the theme, distance? One of the political topics that we talk about in that piece, which is also the topic of the new piece that we are creating here right now in this pool, is the topic of refugees and how there's people trying to come to other countries to find safety and to find a space for being able to live, for having something and finding something that we here consider the normality. We don't even question it. And already in this, there comes the theme of distance to it. And even more in other layers as well during COVID now, where us as performers as well can't travel around, which I very much believe was also the idea behind that theme, as it happens online out of a distance. So we're trying to bring that and create awareness for the things that happen in the distance as well. What the things that happen out there on the sea in lots of tiny little paper boats, essentially, that are very much sinking every day and people dying and drowning every day. And with being audience, being performer, we very much ask as well to become a performer in that regards, to have an opinion about what is happening. We don't ask everyone to go down to Lampedusa, for example, and physically be there to help. If you can, amazing, great. But it's already a big start by having an opinion about it and by thinking and deliberating about that topic and talking about it to bring awareness, to bring something that is happening far away from us close through conversation. Why did you apply?
Why, Jacob?
Why? Why did we apply? Well, I guess we applied, I don't just guess, I know we applied because we wrote the application. Because the festival and the theme of the festival sounded very interesting to us, and of course we would have loved to be there in person and perform the show in front of an audience, but it was a nice challenge as well, and is a nice challenge as well, to see, okay, how will it be received in the form of video, which is a completely different relationship between audience and performer in that sense, because the performer is not a person anymore, but the video screen essentially. So that's interesting and fascinating, and I'm curious how this will go. And then, as we talked about already, the theme of the show that we've created for us goes very much along with the theme of the festival itself. And I think that's it. That boat is sinking right now. I don't know if it's in frame, but there is a boat sinking in front of you, and I think it should give us some thought. Boat number 9.
Yes.
Where can people find out more? Well, they can find out more about being audience, being performer, as well as about the madness that is going on right now here, on the website of mine, jlohmann.com. We'll probably put it in post in the screen, or otherwise it's somewhere. You'll find it. I don't know in which form this will be published, so we'll see. So you can find out more there. And just to hint a little bit on what's happening here right now, it's a new creation with the name Present, which goes into the 3 different interpretations of the word present. Of present as the times we are living in right now, currently, what is going on with society.
Present as the fact of being present together in the same space right now.
Well, yes, but not only in that specific place, of course, yes. I mean, there's supposed to be audience around one day, hopefully again. But as well present as in things that are happening right now, like physically happening, as boats sinking with people on them who are coming for a better life. Not just a better life, a life in the first place. Risking their lives to have a life.
Third, present as a present, as a
gift that you're giving to someone. Exactly. But we won't give an example for that, as that should stay secret. And we hope to bring this show places, and hope to have you as an audience then, and you will see what that present is that we want to give to you, our audience.
Ciao.
Bye. Put it on myself. Basta. This was it for this interview. But of course there is more. And more is on the links that are in the video description down below. There you can find a lot more information about all the things that you saw, as well as on the website of LACUNA Festivals, of course. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then let us know and give us a like, and of course don't forget to subscribe to the Capta laVie YouTube channel for more of this kind of content. As we are very much busy with trying to create a community here as well, it would be beautiful if you could give us some feedback and let us know what you thought and how you felt about this video by leaving a comment down below. And if you want to get a bit more in personal contact with us, then I very much invite you to join our Discord server. On Discord there we can have some more private conversations, and you can watch all the interviews that we are recording live actually, as we are streaming them over there, and ask your own questions to the various artists that are sitting in front of this very camera. This was it for today's episode, and I hope to see you back in the future for the next episode, or maybe even sooner already, on our Discord server. And I'm super curious to get to know you a little bit better as well through the comment section here on YouTube. So see you soon.